Hello, friends. Welcome to Bookku. Today, we're going to talk about Choosing Me by Kelly V. Kurz. Alan was a person who always lived according to others' expectations and society's rules. From school to his job, every decision he made was out of fear that people might judge him. But deep inside, he always felt incomplete. Nothing ever truly satisfied him. It was the same routine every day. Wake up, go to work, come back home, and sleep. He thought maybe that's what life was supposed to be. One day, Alan was sitting in a cafe with his usual black coffee. He often visited the cafe just to get a little escape. That day, his eyes fell on a bookshelf where he spotted a book titled Choose Me, Staying True to Yourself and Living the Life You Want by Kelly V. Kurz. The title instantly attracted him. He picked up the book, and on opening the first page, he read the first lesson. Self-awareness and understanding. Recognize your past experiences, triggers, and patterns to heal and make conscious choices aligned with your true self. Alan began reading the chapter. As he flipped through the pages, he felt like someone was peeking into his mind. He could connect to every word. He realized that self-awareness meant paying attention to his feelings and habits. He felt it wouldn't be easy, but he decided to try. That night, Alan went home, took out a notebook, and started writing. First, he thought about his past experiences. He remembered how in school, whenever he tried to do something different, people would judge him. Once, he participated in a debate competition, and as soon as he stepped on stage, his classmates started laughing. That day, he decided never to be in the spotlight again. He thought maybe that's why he always preferred staying average, not too ambitious, not too different, just normal. In the next part of the book, it said that self-awareness isn't just recognizing your past, but also understanding which habits or triggers are still holding you back today. Alan realized that his fears and insecurities were still pulling him back in decision-making. The next day at work, an interesting situation came up. His team's boss asked for volunteers for a new project. Alan was excited about getting involved, but his mind held him back with fear. What if he messed up? What would people say? He asked himself, is this fear coming from my past? He realized it was. That fear was the result of the old incident where he was judged on stage. Taking a deep breath, he thought, shouldn't I consciously make a different choice this time? He raised his hand and said, I'd like to work on this project. His teammates and boss were surprised, since Alan usually stayed low-key. But that decision gave him a small internal victory. That night, he opened his notebook again and wrote, Today, I identified my past trigger and overcame it. I was scared, but I made a conscious choice. This journey may be difficult, but I want to continue. Alan started fully applying the first lesson of the book. In every small and big situation, he asked himself, is this decision my conscious choice, or is my past controlling me? Gradually, he realized that many of his habits and fears stemmed from past experiences. One day, his friend Jossie came to visit him after a long time. She asked, why do you seem so lost these days? You used to be so easy to talk to, but now it feels like you're hiding something. Alan took a deep breath and told her everything about the book, self-awareness, and his journey of identifying patterns. Jossie smiled and said, wow, that's really cool. We all get stuck in our own patterns, but never think about how to get out. Maybe I should read this book too. Alan said, just try it once. It's not easy, but when you start looking within, things become clearer, and yes, uncomfortable too. Jossie said, it will be uncomfortable. Facing yourself isn't easy, but it seems like you're on the right path. Alan's journey had just begun. He realized this process wouldn't be overnight, but he had decided to understand himself and consciously create his life. He thought of opening the next chapter, but first made a promise to himself. Until the first lesson is fully integrated into his life, he wouldn't move forward. He slowly started breaking out of his old beliefs and patterns. Thinking about what lay ahead made Alan both excited and nervous, but now he was trying to live life consciously. Alan knew the journey would be long, but also worth it. He was starting to feel the changes in his life. The first lesson had given him a new direction. Through self-awareness, he began to understand his old patterns and triggers, and now he was learning to make conscious choices in small things. One day, as he turned the next page of the book, he read, "Setting boundaries. Establish and maintain personal boundaries to protect your well-being and ensure your actions reflect your genuine desires, free from external pressures." Alan read that line twice. Boundaries, the word felt strange to him. He wondered, have I ever really set boundaries in my life? He remembered his college days. He was always the kind of person who said yes, even when he didn't feel like it. If someone asked for notes, he'd stay up all night preparing them. If someone needed help, he'd drop everything. He felt it was necessary, only then would people like him. But deep down, it left him emotionally and physically drained. He continued reading. The book said that setting boundaries doesn't mean being selfish. It means protecting your mental and emotional health and prioritizing what truly matters to you. Alan asked himself, do I really do that? Or am I just trying to please everyone and ignoring myself? He already knew the answer. The next day at work, a colleague, John, asked for help preparing a presentation. Alan was about to say yes, like always, but he paused. He asked himself, do I genuinely want to do this? Or am I agreeing because I'm afraid to say no? He politely said, John, I won't be able to help this time. I have my own deadlines. John was a bit surprised but reacted maturely. Alan felt awkward but also relieved. For the first time, he prioritized his own needs. That evening, he wrote in his notebook, "Today, I tried setting a boundary. It was awkward, but I didn't let myself drown in guilt. I'm starting to understand that boundaries aren't just for others. They're for myself, too." In the following days, Alan continued practicing boundaries. He learned to say no in small situations. But one day, he faced a big test. His childhood friend, Arya, whom he had known for years, suddenly called. She asked for a huge favor. She needed his help for the next 2 weeks on her personal project. Alan knew it would be very demanding and could affect his own goals. Arya casually said, "You're my best friend. If you won't help, who will?" Alan took a deep breath. He realized this was the moment he needed to truly apply boundaries. If he said yes, he'd once again be stepping out of his comfort zone to fulfill others' expectations. Calmly, he said, "Arya, I understand this project is important to you, but I'm really busy with my own work. I won't be able to help this time, but if you'd like, I can suggest some useful resources." Arya was silent for a moment, then said, "Okay, I'll manage." Alan felt she was disappointed, but he didn't feel guilty. For the first time, he understood that boundaries don't mean hurting others. They mean giving yourself priority and not compromising your mental peace. The book also said that maintaining boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's about aligning your actions and decisions with your values and desires. He soon faced another example. His office was planning a weekend team-building trip. Everyone was excited, but Alan knew he didn't enjoy social events. He preferred spending weekends reading and relaxing. Earlier, he would have joined out of peer pressure. But this time, he asked himself, do I genuinely want to go, or am I going just because everyone else is? He politely told the team, "Thank you for inviting me, but I won't be able to join this time. I have personal commitments." People tried to convince him, but he declined. He felt a little awkward, but also empowered. Alan's life began to change. He realized that setting boundaries wasn't just an action, it was a mindset. And as he started respecting his own boundaries, others began respecting his choices too. One day, Jossie visited again. She said, "You're not the same anymore. Earlier, you used to say yes to everything. Now you seem more confident. What's going on?" Alan smiled and said, "Just setting boundaries. I used to chase others' expectations, but now I've learned that giving yourself priority isn't selfish, it's self-respect." Jossie asked, "Isn't it hard? Don't people get hurt when you say no?" Alan said, "At first, it's awkward, but when you explain your reason, most people understand. And those who don't, maybe they're not meant to respect your boundaries. Jossie nodded thoughtfully. Maybe I need to work on boundaries too. I always try to please everyone and end up ignoring myself. Alan encouraged her, start small. In every situation, ask yourself, does this decision align with my true desires? Slowly, it will become a habit. That night, Alan wrote in his notebook, setting boundaries isn't easy, but it's proving to be life-changing. I've learned to say no and come out of guilt. I now understand that boundaries are a way to protect my life. Alan looked toward the next chapter of the book. He knew the journey was long and each lesson would bring a new transformation. He promised himself he would continue this process with patience and commitment. Now, at every step of his life, Alan was feeling the change. Self-awareness and boundary setting had given him a new clarity. Alan felt bad but stopped himself from reacting. During his lunch break, he took some time to meditate. He felt the need to show some kindness to himself. He wrote in his notebook, self-care doesn't just mean looking good from the outside. It also means healing the inner conflicts and insecurities. Slowly, Alan started organizing his weekends. Earlier, he used to waste entire weekends just sleeping or watching random movies. But now, he thought even weekends could be part of self-care. He began investing time in hobbies. He had a passion for painting, which he had given up after school. He bought art supplies and started painting during his free time. It felt therapeutic. Another thing he learned was the importance of saying no, an important part of self-care. One weekend, his cousin had a birthday party, and the whole family had invited him. Alan knew going there would be socially exhausting. He politely declined and used that time to rest and focus on his hobbies. Earlier, he feared people would call him selfish for such actions, but now he realized that only when he's recharged can he handle his relationships better. The next time his mom called, she casually asked, "You seem a bit different these days. Is everything okay?" Alan replied, "Yes, Mom. I've just been working on myself. I used to always be available for everyone, but never for myself. Now, I'm learning to prioritize myself." His mother nodded in approval and said, "That's a good thing. As long as you're happy, everything will be fine." Alan then decided to open the next chapter of the book. He promised himself that self-care wouldn't just be a temporary phase, it would become a part of his life. He realized that self-love and self-care are the foundations that would help him steer his life in the right direction. His journey now felt even more exciting. He felt strong and happy. He knew more lessons were yet to come, and he was ready to explore himself at every step. Gradually, peace and clarity entered Alan's life. Lessons like self-awareness, boundaries, and self-care made him stronger from within. He was now trying to live life on his own terms. Every small victory reassured him that he had made the right decision. He opened the next chapter of the book, Authentic Decision-Making. Make life choices based on your true desires rather than societal expectations. This leads to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Asterisk, asterisk. Reading that line made Alan pause. He remembered how most of his major life decisions had been influenced more by society's and others' expectations than his own happiness. From choosing his college subject to his job, he always did what seemed right, not what truly made him happy. He asked himself, if I had really made decisions based on my desires, would my life be the same? He opened his notebook and wrote, "When was the last time I made a big decision based on my desires? Have I ever lived authentically?" That night, he got lost in old memories. He remembered how during school days, he always wanted to become a writer. He loved writing stories and creating characters. But when he told his parents, they gave him practical advice. Writing is fine, but it can't be a career. Choose a real, stable job. And Alan agreed. He chose commerce, then did an MBA. Today, he worked at a good company, but deep down, he never felt fulfilled. He read further into the chapter. It said authentic decisions mean listening to your heart and understanding why you make certain life choices, whether it's for yourself or just to please others. The next day, Alan's boss called him in. A new role had opened in the company with more responsibility and higher pay. The boss said, "Your skills are perfect for this role. Would you like to apply?" Earlier, Alan would have said yes without thinking, but this time he paused and asked himself, "Do I genuinely want this role, or am I accepting it just because it logically sounds good?" He realized he didn't want it. He wasn't even excited about his current job anymore. He wanted to explore his creative side again. He wanted to return to writing. Alan politely declined and said, "I think I can perform better in my current role for now." The boss was surprised but appreciated his honesty. To Alan, this small decision felt huge. For the first time, he freed himself from societal norms. That evening, he opened his notebook and wrote, "Today, I made a decision just for myself. It wasn't easy, but I prioritized my own desires." Now, Alan decided to take his writing seriously. He started waking up early every morning and writing for 30 minutes. Initially, it felt strange, but slowly it became the most satisfying part of his day. One day, Jossie came to visit and asked, "What do you do so early every morning? You seem really dedicated these days." Alan told her, "I've started writing again. I always wanted to do it since childhood, but never took it seriously. Now, I feel if I don't start making authentic decisions, I'll just keep living for others." Jossie replied, "You're becoming really inspiring. I often do what people expect from me, not what I want. Maybe I need to reevaluate my choices too. Just go deep into your decisions and ask why you're making them. The answer will come." Gradually, Alan started evaluating his decisions at every level. One day, his family called. His parents wanted him to attend a family gathering. Alan knew attending would mentally exhaust him. Instead of ignoring his emotions, he decided to be honest. He calmly said, "Mom, I know this event is important to you, but I'm genuinely not feeling comfortable. Can I skip it?" At first, his mom was upset, but then she said, "Okay, son, if you're not comfortable, it's all right." Alan realized that making authentic decisions isn't always easy. Sometimes people get upset. Sometimes he felt guilty, but slowly the process became easier. He took another big decision. He joined a local writing workshop over the weekend. There, he met people like him who were trying to follow their passions. He felt his writing skills were improving, and a new excitement had entered his life. Now, Alan's decisions were focused on his happiness, not societal expectations. He learned that authentic decision-making doesn't mean being impulsive. It means evaluating every decision with both the heart and the mind. His journey was still ongoing, but now he woke up every morning feeling excited. He knew his life was slowly heading in the right direction. He decided to open the next chapter of the book. He was sure each lesson would bring him closer to the life he truly wanted to live. Alan was now feeling a shift in every aspect of his life. Self-awareness, boundaries, self-care, and authentic decision-making had brought him clarity and purpose. But there were still some things holding him back from being truly free. He opened the next chapter of the book, Yoda ID. As soon as he read that, he felt this lesson would be the most challenging one. He knew there were many habits and thought patterns inside him that kept pulling him backward. He opened his notebook and wrote, "Which patterns keep making me repeat the same mistakes?" Then he started thinking. The first pattern that came up was overthinking. Alan used to overthink every little thing, so much that sometimes he couldn't take action at all. He remembered how he had let go of many good opportunities simply because he was overanalyzing the outcome. The second pattern was self-doubt. He often felt he wasn't good enough for anything. This feeling had affected so many of his decisions and actions that it had become normal for him. The third was procrastination. He would postpone things and then fall into guilt and stress. He wrote in his notebook, "If I don't break these patterns, I'll never reach my full potential." The next day, he consciously started paying attention to his thoughts and behaviors. He noticed that whenever a challenging situation came up, his overthinking would be the first to activate. That evening, his friend Vishal called and invited him for hiking over the weekend. Alan loved hiking, But his mind immediately started making excuses. What if I get tired? What if I fall? What if it's not as fun as I imagined? This time, Alan paused and thought, I can try to break this thought pattern. Without overthinking, he said yes. That weekend, when he went hiking, he found the experience very refreshing and energizing. He told himself, see, if I had kept overthinking, I would have missed all this. Next, he decided to work on self-doubt. His office performance was decent, but he always felt he wasn't as good as others. He never acknowledged his own achievements. One day, his team successfully completed a project. The boss specifically praised him. Alan, your ideas gave this project a new direction. Earlier, Alan would have brushed it off, but this time, he allowed himself to accept the compliment. In his mind, he said, I did a good job, and I should acknowledge it. At home, he wrote in his notebook, the first step to break self-doubt is to recognize small wins. Now came procrastination, probably his biggest weakness. He would delay every task until the last minute and then finish it in panic mode. Alan read in the book about a strategy, the 5-minute rule. The idea was to start any task you're avoiding for just 5 minutes. The next day, he set a timer for 5 minutes to tackle his pending emails. He thought he'd just start, but once he began, he finished them all. He realized starting was the hardest part. Now, Alan was actively disrupting his negative patterns. He saw that breaking any pattern requires both awareness and action. Another big moment came when he discussed these thought patterns with Jossie. He said, I feel like I'm always pulling myself back, like negativity automatically shows up in my mind. Jossie said, I've noticed that too, but maybe the changes happening in you are helping break those patterns. Stop judging yourself. Just keep taking small steps. That day, Alan had another realization. Breaking negative patterns doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means being aware and making better choices consciously, ***. Now, he started planning his days intentionally. He created habits. Now, Alan began to see himself in a new light. He realized that all his life, he had been running on autopilot, repeating the same thought patterns, habits, and reactions. But now, he was becoming the conscious driver of his life. One evening, while journaling, he wrote, I am not my thoughts. I am the one who observes and guides them. He understood that his Yoda identity was his wise inner self, the one who could calmly guide him even in chaos. He promised himself that from now on, he would operate more from that space. He created a simple system for himself. Whenever a negative pattern appeared, he would pause. Ask himself, is this my old self reacting? Then consciously choose a better response. Slowly, this practice started becoming a habit. His self-awareness was growing. His inner peace was increasing. People around him began noticing the change too. One day, Jossie said, You seem more stable and peaceful these days. What's your secret? Alan smiled and replied, I've just started understanding myself a little better. Instead of reacting automatically, I've started responding consciously. Jossie looked at him with admiration. That's a big thing. I think I also need to meet my inner Yoda. Alan laughed and said, He's already inside you, just waiting for you to listen. The next morning, Alan opened the book again. This time, the chapter title read, Emotional Mastery. Learn to understand, express, and manage your emotions for deeper connection and inner balance. Alan thought, that's exactly what I need now. He had always struggled with handling emotions. Sometimes he would suppress them, and sometimes they would explode. The book said, most people are never taught how to deal with emotions. But emotional mastery doesn't mean controlling emotions. It means understanding and flowing with them. Alan started observing his emotions like a curious student. Whenever he felt anger, sadness, or jealousy, he didn't suppress it anymore. He asked himself, why am I feeling this? What is this emotion trying to teach me? One evening, he felt very irritated. His colleague had taken credit for something Alan had contributed to. Earlier, he would have stayed silent and fumed for days. But now he acknowledged his anger and asked, "What is this emotion trying to tell me?" He realized he wasn't just angry, he was hurt. He felt his efforts were being overlooked. Instead of reacting impulsively, he scheduled a calm conversation with his colleague the next day. He said, "Hey, I noticed that in yesterday's meeting, my part didn't get mentioned. Maybe it wasn't intentional, but I wanted to share how I felt." His colleague apologized and assured it wouldn't happen again. Alan felt light and empowered. He realized that naming the emotion and expressing it respectfully was the key. He made a new habit. Every night before sleeping, he would write down asterisk what emotions he felt during the day, asterisk what triggered them, asterisk how he responded. This simple practice helped him connect deeply with himself. One day, while talking to his father, an old, unresolved emotion resurfaced. He had always felt his father never appreciated him. Earlier, he would have buried that feeling, but now he decided to express himself. He said, "Dad, I always felt you were proud of my achievements, but I rarely heard you say it. I know it might sound small, but hearing it from you matters a lot to me." There was a pause. Then his father replied, "I may not have said it much, but I've always been proud of you, son." Alan felt tears in his eyes. A deep emotional wound began to heal. That night, he wrote in his notebook, "Unexpressed emotions become baggage. Expressed emotions become bridges." Now, Alan had begun mastering his emotions, not by force, but with awareness and compassion. He understood that life is not about suppressing emotions, but dancing with them gracefully. Now, the book's final chapter awaited him. He felt nervous, but excited. The title was Purposeful Living: Align Your Daily Life with Your Core Values and Higher Purpose. Alan asked himself, "What is my purpose? What values truly matter to me?" He began to list his core values. Asterisk authenticity, asterisk growth, asterisk creativity, asterisk connection, asterisk inner peace. He realized that many of his past actions had gone against these values. But now he wanted to change that. He asked himself, "What does a day look like if I live by these values?" He wrote, asterisk morning, asterisk mindful start with writing and reflection, asterisk work, asterisk focus on meaningful tasks, not just busy work, asterisk evening, asterisk time with loved ones, hobbies, and reading, asterisk night, asterisk gratitude, journaling, and rest. He knew it wouldn't be perfect every day, but intention was the starting point. One Sunday, he sat by the lake and watched the sunset. He felt a deep sense of contentment, not because everything in life was perfect, but because he was finally aligned with himself. He wrote in his notebook, "I may not have all the answers, but I now know how to listen to my heart, and that's enough to guide me." His journey through the book had transformed him, from a people-pleaser to a purpose-seeker, from confused to self-aware, from emotionally suppressed to emotionally intelligent. Now, life didn't feel like a race. It felt like a peaceful, meaningful journey. And Alan knew this was just the beginning. If this summary gave you that aha moment or helped shift your mindset even a little, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and reach more curious minds like yours. Got a takeaway or favorite part from this book? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and keep the conversation going. And if you're someone who loves turning pages into progress, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you never miss a powerful book breakdown like this. Thanks for watching, keep learning, and remember, small steps beat perfect plans. Always.